The mic is live? Okay. Welcome, prospective CubeQuesters and friends. We're really glad that you could make it to the summit. We think that we've done the best that we can to put together an exciting and informative summit for the purposes of introducing to you the CubeQuest Challenge, its administration, and also to enable networking and for teams to self-organize. We're glad that you could all be here. We understand many people have traveled large distances. I wanted to begin by acknowledging and thanking Juliana Fishman, who has spent countless hours putting together this summit and all the details that it took to organize the room, the facility, the registration. I think she even worked on New Year's. So can you join with me to show your appreciation for Juliana? It's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker. Dr. Pete Warden is the director of Ames Research Center, and he's going to welcome you all here to our facility. Pete?
Thank you. This is really a great pleasure for me. I've spent a good bit of my career as a zealot for ever smaller satellites, and not always been received that well. And I welcome a lot of groups here at conferences and summits and so forth, but this is a particular pleasure for me because I think what I've been preaching for a long time is coming to fruition. I'm particularly pleased I saw Bob Twiggs, who was kind of the father, along with some of his colleagues, a lot of these things. So, I know when I first met Bob, we were instant co-conspirators, and the whole CubeSat area has really exploded. There are literally hundreds launched every year now. There are companies actually making lots of money. Some of them that started here, and some of them started other places. Unfortunately, they're all young people, so they don't have old people like me. But maybe some of you will change that. We have, I think, demonstrated amply the CubeSat concept in low Earth orbit is kind of where it's at. That we can do, a good many of the missions that the world needs. But I'm really proud of my agency that in the last few years has really stepped up to one of our oldest missions. This year is the, I can say this year, is the 100th anniversary of the National Advisory Committee on Aeronautics, NACA. By the way, I learned from my senior advisor, who's going to be 90 this year, that it's never called NACA, it's NACA. That their mission was to help develop new industries and new capabilities for our nation. And in these challenges, that is exactly what we're going to do here in space. Now, NASA's space mission increasingly is deeper in space. Our next big human missions are going to be in cislunar space, and then we're on our way to Mars. Doing it the old way is not going to work. It's expensive. So a lot of us have thought about, well, if you could do what we do in low Earth orbit with the CubeSat concept, where we develop new industry and capabilities that the private sector and academic sector and just individuals would start having access to cislunar space and beyond, we would revolutionize what we can do. So this is, in my opinion, this is a grand challenge, but I kind of regard it as the grandest of grand challenges. It's a challenge to you to form teams, to figure out how we're going to get the CubeSat concept into both deep space and cislunar space. And this is one I'm really proud of all of NASA. This is a project with support from many different centers, in particular from NASA headquarters. Although I often CubeSat place. A few months ago, I was briefing a group of the senior managers at NASA, the center directors and mission directors, and I said, well, Ames was a CubeSat center, and I got jumped on by JPL, by Goddard, and by Langley, by Marshall, and that's a good thing. But everyone agreed that our challenge is to take this whole concept where a couple people in a garage or in a college lab, or maybe even in a NASA center, can figure out how to get us to the moon and eventually beyond. So I can't imagine a better challenge. There's real money involved here. There's millions of bucks. That's still real money. In fact, now you can actually buy several tanks of gas for, for that. So, and NASA's going to help. In addition to providing these prizes, we are available as advisors and collaborators on these things. And maybe most important is that we're going to take some of you to cislunar space on EM1, which is our first, big Orion launch that's leaving the low Earth orbit, so or SLS launch. So this is an objective that we really, really believe in, and I'm convinced that by the end of this decade, we're going to see, as we see around the Earth, around the moon, and beyond, hundreds of CubeSats, things that where a company can figure out some business case, where students at a university can imagine a lunar mission or an asteroid mission, and hopefully pretty soon missions to Mars, because sometime in the next few decades we're going to be living on Mars. And that's NASA's ultimate objective in the next few decades, is to enable permanent human presence on Mars. And this is going to be a key part of that. So I'm really excited about this. I'm honored that we're able to host this kickoff here at Ames, and I, am personally available, and my staff is available, and I'm sure everybody across NASA to help and make this a success. This may be the most important thing that we're doing in this period is figuring out how to enable everyone to get out in deep space and start doing cool things around other objects. Let me stop there, because I know you've got a lot of cool things you want to hear, although if you have any quick questions, I'll be happy to, if I can answer anything. Yeah?
One of the interesting questions is that as we venture out, it isn't just competition, there is cooperation that's required.
Yes.
One of the challenges, particularly, is, as you see in this class, are a number of different communications benchmarks. One of the arguments is that arguably, if we extend out everything in this program becomes an interoperating node, or at least a relay node, we could end up doing more, not just on a competitive basis, but on a qualitative basis. Is that something that makes sense from an
Absolutely. I mean, it is NASA's objective to enable a capability, and it's a capability that enables new science, enables new exploration, that enables new businesses. And one of the most important things, I think, it's your challenge, is that's why we hope to network a lot here. If we can do things more together, and we're beginning to see a lot of this in low Earth orbit CubeSats with standardization, standard communications protocols. So very much hope that comes out of the collaborations here, because this is, what we want to get out of this is something that when somebody at a NASA center says, I got to meet science or exploration technology objective, that we don't have to build this stuff in-house. We can go buy a capability with a robust industry, a robust community. And I want to emphasize not just the U.S., but globally. This is very important to us. So I'll tell you that NASA's objective is to make sure America leads that. The taxpayers don't pay me to generate industry in Europe. We can certainly, but we certainly hope that, and I think the U.S. does lead this. this whole CubeSat effort, and we hope to lead the next effort. So the more you can collaborate, the more that this community can get together and say, we're going to standardize this stuff. You know, there's standard communication protocols, there's standard interoperability. That's really going to be helpful. So, but I don't want to tell you how to do it. You know, in fact, my dad once told me, but not very long ago, he's a 94. He said, you know, you've never made an honest dollar in your life. You've worked for the government. Every paycheck I've ever had has come from the government. And so when I was telling him we were trying to start private industry, he said, you? So I took that to heart, is that I'm not going to tell you how to do it, because I don't know how to do it. But in the end, we would like to be the customer. And you know, certainly in the short term, anchor tenants. But I think once the community demonstrates a capability to do stuff in cylinder space and beyond, we're going to see people figure out how to make money in industry. And that community will understand, well, what's the best standard? You know, I remember a couple decades ago, there was something called Ada. It was a computer programming language, and the idea was some clever thing is the government would come up with this master programming language. And, you know, it's gone. So we're not going to try to do Ada for this. But that's certainly our objective. Yeah.
Actually, our CubeSat program is not gone.
Yeah,
Every airliner in the world, every air traffic controls.
All right, okay, there are a few uses. It probably wasn't worth all the money we spent, though.
And the Rosetta satellite.
Yeah.
And
I stand corrected. Other questions? Well, let me just wish you Godspeed, which is NASA's wish for anybody going on a great long journey, and with great rewards at the end. So Godspeed to all of you. This is cool. Thank you.